Nadia, you studied haute couture
Yeah,
at the Paris American Academy, and this is like traditional tailoring at the highest level,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then you came home and you started growing textiles out of algae and kombucha.
yeah.
What happened between Paris and the Petri dish?
Honestly, so when I was in Paris, I saw a shift in fashion. So, when you think haute couture, you think like old school fashion, like
Sure.
it goes decades and decades. But while I was also in Paris, I saw how much like they're kind of tapping into like the innovative side of fashion. They're like big in tech, big in fashion tech, big in like just overall material exploration, 3D this, VR this. And I was just like, wow, like there's a different side of Paris that I didn't think was gonna be there when I went there. So it was kind of like a mix. It was like the old school traditional craftsmanship kind of thing, and then we also had like the technology side of things, and it was just like, oh, like I'm seeing a different kind of side of fashion in Paris. So when I went back home, I decided to, like, just experiment because like, I had 1 more semester left at Kent, and I was just like, "Well, when I graduate, I'll experiment with it." I will have the time. I don't have a project due tomorrow, so, like, I will have the time, and that's kind of what happened. I just did research, and I went on my laptop just looking at YouTube videos, reading recipes and instructions, and I made one, and it was successful, so
So when you talk about like the exposure in
yeah.
Paris, was that in the academy? Was that the ecosystem? Like, was it like where did you run across a lot of those things? Was it structured and you learned those things, or was it just
It
that
was just, like, exploring the city
okay,
too. So they kinda were telling us about the crazy thing is it was in the school and also exploring the city. I would say both
okay,
because one time they actually invited a high executive from the brand called Loewe, and that's, like, a really big like, Spain, I think they're out of Spain. They're a big fashion brand, and they were talking about how they're exploring, like, next gen materials, and they're just exploring, like, biomaterials in their stuff, and I'm like, at the time, I didn't know anything about that because I didn't start exploring till after I got out of Paris, so I was just like, "A big brand is exploring this? Like, what is even this?" So I started, like, taking notes, and when I went back home, I was, like, actually started researching this stuff, and I was like, "Whoa."
now you say that you started exploring these things. I don't. Is that true? Because you've been making things from unconventional materials for a
Yeah.
while. It's not. It wasn't an after Paris thing,
No,
right? So
no.
I think like duct tape
Yeah, duct
wallets,
tape was where it started.
woodworking, ceramics. There's different things that you've been doing. At what point did you realize that the material was the thing you were most interested in, and not just what you made with it, right?
I think it started when I was little, cause I always loved, like, just making things. Cause at the time, my mom was like she didn't buy me a sewing machine, like, I was only, like, 5, so I was like, "Okay, there has to be other things I can make fashion with," like, with duct tape, you can just stick it together, and you have 2 sides, so I realized as I grew older, like, it was more so just trying to find conventional ways to create things that, like, I didn't have on hand at the time. So when I got out of school, I also in school too, I mean, when you're a broke college student, you have to find ways to, create
Yeah,
stuff
make
with.
money. Yeah.
So when I got out of school, I was just like, well, like this is like the science side of it. Like, like I was like, "Well, maybe I'll figure it out," and also in school as well, like, we did I was in a hackathon there, and I was like, I didn't even know I could be a fashion student in a hackathon, like, I thought it was just computer science students, but that really opened my eyes even more, and I'm like, "Wow, there's a whole 'nother side that I just don't know about."
So what was that experience like? Like, so you say you
Yeah.
didn't realize you could be a fashion student in a hackathon. I think that's probably something that a lot of people would
No.
like make an assumption is that
Yeah.
it's going to be a bunch of people behind a keyboard doing a thing.
Yeah.
What prompted you to do it? First of all, did somebody, yeah, make money? Yeah.
Yeah, it was so Kent, the school I went to, they
Hmm.
have like a yearly hackathon where the computer science students and the fashion students get together and they have to create a project in like 3 days. And at the
Okay.
end, they present it and they give out prizes and stuff. So I decided to do it because I was like, again, it was my last year in school. I was like, I'm just trying anything at this point. So I did it, and it was like 3 fashion students, it was 2 computer science students in our club, and, like, in our groups, it was 5 of us, and we ended up making, like, a project around, like, accessibility and people for that are hard of hearing, and it was just like we actually ended up winning an award from Fidelity Investments,
All right.
so that was, like, a whole so it was just like, "What?" Like, there's actually big brands that are willing to invest in this kind of stuff, and they actually ended up asking some of us, like, "Would you guys wanna create a business off of this, like a one-off off of this?" And the people in my club, they said no, so, like, I just ended up not doing that route, so I was just like, "Wow," like, even just seeing the other projects, like, someone made, like, earphones for people that were, blind, so they can, like, when they cross the street, it, like, alerts them, and it's just like, "What?" Like, this is next level fashion that I did not
Yeah,
know could
yeah.
happen, so
And so you went straight, like from graduation, you started Biospoke.
yeah.
No corporate job, no safety net. You just kind
No.
of jumped straight in, and I mean, you chose this business with materials that most of the industry can't buy today. So,
Yeah.
I mean, was it that experience that gave you the confidence to do that, or the audacity to do that? Like, what was the catalyst for Biospoke from
Yeah,
that point?
and honestly, it's crazy because I didn't really want I say this all the time, I didn't necessarily wanna be a business owner. It just kinda
Yeah.
came to me, like, when I graduated from college, I thought I was instantly gonna get a corporate job. I thought I was going corporate, go to New York or LA, and work my way up. Like, that was, like, kinda the assistant designer, work my way up, boom. But that didn't happen. I kept applying to places, the job market was horrible, so I'm like, "Well, while I wait for a job, I'll just work on this." So it wasn't really like a business at first. It was
Yeah, it
just
wasn't
like
a
a
plan.
fun
Yeah.
it was just a fun project. It was just a fun little summer project that I had that I was, like, kinda holding off from school. I was like, "Well, let me do this so while in the meantime." And, it took so long, so that's really what really just kept kinda getting me to go grow and grow, and then I saw this grant opportunity in Detroit for, like, sustainable fashion ideas. So I applied, not really thinking. I didn't have a website, I didn't barely had a logo, I didn't Biospoke actually was called Ecolux. I just kinda came up with that on the spot, and then, so I applied with that, and I got through the finalists, and I was just like so now I have to come up with a pitch deck. I have to come up with I'm like, "I don't even know what a pitch is." Like, I don't even know what a pitch is. So
Yeah.
they required a website, they required a logo, they required you so they can put it on their Instagram, on their website. And I'm like, "I have none of this, guys. I have none of this." So that's really what happened, how it started.
Yeah,
So,
no plan, just kinda
no
doing it as you
plan.
go. Um, now, we met
Yeah.
because you're part of the social venture studio, and so you have a mission behind your business. I mean, and when you look at the fashion industry on the whole, it's responsible collectively for 10% of the world's carbon emissions, right? And there's been over $1 billion invested in biomaterials, and yet the vast majority of the people who do what you do haven't made it, and haven't, it's hard to get what you're doing from kind of the lab to the market. What's actually broken in the system around, this idea of sustainable fashion and kind of the biomaterial space?
So what I'm seeing from a lot of other like material businesses is they lack creativity. And I think that's like what's holding a lot of businesses back. They are big when it comes to creating the material, but they're not really big when it comes to applications after that. So they don't have anyone in their studios sewing the stuff. They don't have anyone testing it for long wear. And I just kinda even, like, all the other material companies I have talked with, they're like, "Oh, can we hire you just for contract to, like, to design for us?" And I'm like, "I can, but, like, that's a whole 'nother project that I have to do, like, on top of my business."
Right.
So, I realize with a lot of, like, other material companies, you have a lot of science people, but no people that are actually, like, creative. There's no artists, there's no designers, there's no creative directors that's helping the brand kinda market to the people. They can create all day, they can create the material all day, that's great for them, but when it comes to advertising it, marketing it, designing it to actually fit the needs of consumers, that's where they're lacking.
Where did would you consider yourself a science person?
No, like, I guess no and yes. I guess, like, I kinda learned just from research myself, but I still don't consider myself a science person.
Did you like science in school?
I kinda did, like,
Okay.
I did like the mixing of we had to, like, dissect a frog and stuff, that was kinda like that was a whole 'nother thing, like, so
Yeah, yeah,
but I liked it, like, it was fun to do, like, my mom's an engineer, so I've always been into tech in some sort of way, so yeah.
okay, all right. You know, you're doing something different, so it's not just about the
Yeah.
biomaterials. You're actually not only making product, but you're actually teaching people
Yeah.
how to do this. You've done or do workshops at Slow Stitch Detroit,
Yeah.
right? So you're teaching people to make yarn from algae,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, Recycling fabrics into new
Yeah.
materials, doing that type of thing. Why does the teaching matter? And for you, is that business or a movement?
I guess for me as a movement, it matters to me because that was my first gig with Biospoke, my first paid gig actually. So after the grant competition was over, someone at the Michigan Science Center overheard me and they were like talking about materials and they're like, "Hey, can we hire you to do a workshop to teach like middle school girls this?" And I was like, "Fine," you know. So they paid me like pretty good just to do like a 5 series workshop. And I was just like, that's like it was so interesting because the girls at first were, like, kinda weirded out by it because they were like, "Ew, it's like slime, it's gooey." I'm like, "Oh, it's okay, guys, it's okay, like, just trust the process." So then at the end, they were all so happy they made, like, these purses out of, like, their material that they made, and the parents came, and it's crazy because one of the, parents came, like, in the beginning, he's like, "You guys aren't working with leather or pig, like, leather like that. We're not allowed to touch it. We're not allowed like, our religion,
Mhm.
we don't allow that." I was like, "No, this is literally all natural." He's like, "Are you sure? Like, I don't wanna know." I was like, "No, this is literally the point of this. It's, like, all natural material. There's no leather or animal byproduct here." So, um, that was, like, cool to see him at the end of we did the whole celebration at the end, and he was just like, "I didn't even know you could do this." I was like, "Yeah, you could."
When you think about the industry,
Yeah.
again, going back to kind of this mission part of what you're doing, there's a lot of, large brands,
Yeah.
fashion brands that are making maybe slightly less harmful of
Yeah.
products and calling that sustainable or do those types of things.
Yeah.
What makes biomaterials the way that you're talking about them? What makes that different? And then what's the risk of kind of the greenwashing that's happening in this space?
The risk is just um well, let me say this, a lot of, like, the younger generation, they're going towards more sustainable, like, options, like, I just know so many people that are, like, at least between the ages of 20 and 30, they're just shopping more sustainable now, like, that's just kinda where the movement is going, so it's horrible to present to your customers that, like, you're greenwashing. It's like you're lying to them about something if they're actively trying to purchase something that is sustainable and more ethical, and then they found out later that, like, it's actually more harmful than good, they're just not gonna trust you. It's like
Right.
it loses brand trust, and brand loyalty, they might not buy from you again if they find out about that. So, I think it's just good for if you even if a business wants to look at it towards, like, the money wise, like, you're losing money by lying, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, at the end of the day, you're gaining it from one way, but long term, it's not a good look.
Yeah,
So,
it's
yeah.
a short-term gain
Yeah.
for you'll lose a long-term customer, and it seems like consumers, especially, as you said, like the 20 to 30, that millennial Gen Z kind of range is, uh, they see through
They
this.
do.
There's just too much information out
They
there,
do
too
see
much
it a
access.
lot more,
Yeah.
especially on TikTok, there's so much information, and they're gonna call you out for it too, so
So you're Detroit-based,
Yeah, yeah, I am.
born and raised Detroit.
Yeah, born and
All right,
raised,
born
born
and
and
raised
raised,
Detroit.
yeah.
But you're part in Detroit. You're part of a growing ecosystem around textile innovation
Yeah,
and biomaterials. So there's like Nextiles, Ecosphere Organics, some
yeah,
of these other organizations. And you did the Michigan Central
I did, yeah,
residency. I'm
yeah.
very familiar with Michigan Central.
Yeah, the New Lab
Yeah, yeah.
collaboration, yeah.
But now you've come to Kansas City for this program. And one, I guess, what does it mean for you to leave your home ecosystem to do something like this? And what are you hoping that KC can offer that Detroit, isn't or hasn't?
Yeah. Um, it means a lot to me because it means a lot to me because I realized that in Detroit, when I first started, a lot of people didn't really know about what I do. We do have Ecosphere Organics, but they were also a big like pioneering brand in Detroit, like alongside of us. So it's more so like we're both trying to teach people about what biomaterials are, what can you make out of like waste systems. So it was kind of hard teaching that, but eventually people got it and caught on. So that's kind of what I'm doing over here in Kansas City. Like I realize a lot of the biomaterial and innovative and sustainable fashion talk is really only being talked about in Europe.
Yeah,
Europe
yeah.
is like the only place that you can go to Copenhagen or you can go to Paris or you can go to London and they're all talking about it. They're all talking about the same thing. So the thing is, over in the US, you can really only go to California or New York, and they're the only ones really mainly talking about biomaterials and next gen fashion. You can't really go to Michigan and really hear much about it. You can't even go to Florida and hear much about it. So I feel like spreading the word around the US is really what's going to get more Americans, I guess, like to be familiar with what we do, what possibilities are with fashion. And even just doing the workshop that I'm doing here with Magpie, it's like people are like, I didn't know. Like she was like, this is my first time, our first time having a workshop of this like this different. And I was like, yeah, like, so I'm glad people are learning about it.
So it seems like that's part of your mission, right? It's
Yeah,
not just, it would be easier to maybe go to
it
California and
would.
be in an ecosystem of people that already get it,
Yeah,
are already talking about it.
yeah,
But part of what you want to do is actually
yeah,
evangelize and help kind of grow
yeah.
that. And that's why you consider it a movement
Yeah,
versus
for
just a
here.
business. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I saw that I mean, of course, like the SVS, like you guys are thinking about social ventures. So I was just kind of like, I was also kind of shocked that like you guys are thinking about like ventures that want to do good for like or give back. So
Right.
it's more so like, you know what? Yeah, of course I'm going to come to Kansas City because they're caring about it. So I should as well. So yeah.
No, we're glad you're here, right? I think it feels like there's a circular economy movement here. I
Yeah.
think part of what you're doing, there's sustainable fashion, but there's also just this idea of how do you contribute to this circular economy? How do we take the things that have already been manufactured, already produced,
Yeah.
and use those, reuse those versus always creating new? And
Yeah.
and that does continue to create so much waste. I want to shift a little bit and talk about the entrepreneurial
Okay.
side of
Yeah. Yeah.
this, right? And you came into the program with really three
Yeah.
businesses.
Yeah.
And so there was Biospoke, with the biomaterials, the workshops, and then you also have an app,
The
Lumo.
Lumo.
We'll talk
Yeah.
about that in a minute.
Yeah.
Um, three different companies, really, or
Yeah, 3
opportunities for three
different
different
things,
companies.
yeah.
How do you think now about which one to build first?
So, really, I feel like I didn't really mean for it to be 3 different companies. Cause really, when I started Biospoke, I really wanted to start with fashion, like, that was my main goal, but when I started doing the workshops, people just kept booking, so I was like, "Well, I'll just do this," and it kinda turned into something else, and now I'm doing, like, 2 things at once, so and with the Lumo thing, it was just like a whole nother aspect. So I think I want to go back to why like I originally started Biospoke and just start on the fashion.
Yeah.
Um, like you said before in one of the classes, like the workshops can be a marketing tactic, but they shouldn't be like the whole point of my business. It shouldn't be like a whole thing. Like, businesses have events, like that's a part of the marketing. It should be the same with Biospoke. It's not like workshops are not going to be our like foundation. They're going to be just like addition to the brand. So yeah, so I want to start with the fashion Biospoke materials side and then I guess kind of tap into the other two. So
Okay. Yeah. All right, you got to walk me through the
yeah.
process, though, right? So you've referenced a recipe, right?
Yeah.
And so walk me through how biomaterial goes from recipe to product. Like, how long does it take? What's the process
Yeah.
like?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what did failure look like? Like,
Yeah.
how many times did you have to iterate through this?
Yeah, and that is true. So What I use is like a material called sodium alginate, and it's like pretty popular within like the biomaterial world. You can make a biomaterial out of like more like starchy, so like potato and stuff like that, flour, or you can make it out of like more um, like seaweed kind of applications as well. So that's what we're doing with the sodium alginate. It's basically this brown algae that they find and they shred it up, like really powder it kind of thing, and then they add sodium in it, and then that's really it. So with that, once we get it dried in the powder form,
Okay.
and we just rehydrate it with water and glycerin. That's like what we do. From there, we incorporate a like the shreds from school. So once we get the shreds, we pulp it up like really finely, and then we incorporate that into like together. And then once they dry, it takes about like I would say it takes about like 2 to 3 days to dry. Like 2 to 3 days to dry, depending on like the temperature in the room and stuff like
Mhm.
that. If it's like super cold, it may take longer. But once it usually sometimes it's like a day. It depends on the day. If it's like super hot out, it's probably like 12 hours it'll dry.
Okay.
Um so yeah, so once that's done, we peel it off. We like inspect it to see if it's like the same length kind of thing, and then we ended up like we usually put a backing on top on the back of it, like a sheet of fabric, just so it can be like sturdy. But that's optional. But we just put that on there for like more like strength and stuff. So yeah, so once that's done, we can sew with it, and
What's the algae doing to the material? Like
so it just creates like a natural glue. Yeah.
okay.
But really, that's why we only recycle natural fibers, because if we were to recycle like polyester, then it would just be creating more like microplastics and stuff like that once it's thrown out. But that's something that well, I'm also thinking about later in life is like not just fashion applications. I've had people reach out to me asking, is this material good for packaging purposes and like wrapping or like wall absorbent wall, like, stuff for music. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like
we put it in the new
yeah,
studio here,
so
yeah.
people were asking me about that, like, "Can I wrap this to ship it for, like can it replace peanuts and stuff like that?" I'm like, "Well, it could, I guess, yeah, I didn't really think about that."
Interesting, yeah,
Yeah,
probably some fascinating uses that you could get out of
yeah,
that. Um, so I wanna talk about yeah, well, so how many times did you have to try the recipe? How many times did you have
yeah.
to like, how long did it take you to get this right?
Ooh, so the first time I did it, the first time I incorporated the textiles into the mix, it was successful. Like actually I didn't even sew that piece. I kind of like I have it framed in my in my room. So that's like the first ever like successful piece. And then we were experimenting with other applications, so like starch and like maybe even agar. Like that's another like gelatin kind of thing you can use. And, the agar just didn't work, like, we tried, like, 50 times, and it just kept coming out, like, rock hard. We were just like, "It was just not coming out flexible at all," so that one was a fail for sure. I do have the failed one also, I still have that one, so we're just gonna stick with algae, but really every time we do it, it comes out really consistent, so
Okay, no, that's great. Revenue, right? So
yeah,
you've made a little bit of revenue, but you know
yeah.
it's still fairly low for you, and I think uh, it's more than zero, which is a lot of entrepreneurs can't say that. But it's also probably not quite yet a validated business. How do you think about that? And when you look at the next 12 months, what is your first paying customer? What does that revenue stream look like for you? You know, how do you build this business?
Yeah, it is pretty scary, I will say that, because it is not validated yet, it's not validated yet, so it's more so like, am I just doing this off, like, hopes and dreams kind of thing? So, um but really, I just know it's different when you hear someone say they want something versus them actually taking action and doing it, so it's more so like, for me, I've heard many people be like, "Oh, are you selling this?" So it's more so things. So like, I just felt like that validated me, but it was also like, no, they actually have to click buy and purchase.
Yeah.
That's the end thing. So I guess it's more so like I just saw a need for different kinds of fashion, like, and even just in the handbag accessory line, I guess, world, that has been, like, super booming just in general. Like, if I were to start a regular handbag and, I guess, market that to an extent, it would probably get some traction just off of just it being a new release handbag to the
Right.
market.
Right.
So I think with the added textiles and added innovation, like, it just adds a different form of, like, curiosity to consumers, and you're like, "Huh, okay, let me, like, see it or maybe, like, feel it," or something like that. So, um, I'm hoping
Yeah.
that when I do launch, like, and I wanna be strategic about the launch, I just don't wanna, like, put it out there and hope for the best. It's more so, like, I wanna make sure I put it in the right rooms around the right people. So that's kinda like the hard part for me. It's just more so not just launching it and hoping for the best. It's more so like launching it and hoping that we get some bites, so
Yeah, for sure. I'm It was fascinating to me the first time I actually
yeah.
held one of the
Yeah,
bags. It
yeah.
has a very distinct feel to it.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
And I could see, we talked about the market and the interest in that. There's, generations of folks now that are really concerned about the
Yeah,
sustainability of the things that they're buying and the goodness of the products and the companies that are doing that. And so
yeah.
it feels like there's a great opportunity there. It's just how do you get to scale, right?
Yeah, that's how
How
you
do you,
get to
yeah.
scale, yeah. And that's the thing, like, when we first started, I was using, like, little, like, 12 by 10 frames from, like, Walmart, and I actually got a friend, back in Michigan to build me, like, a 36 by 25 frame. It was, like, a yard, basically, and, that actually, like, when we actually made the material and, like, put it in the mold and just seeing it, like, being peeled off, and it was, like, actually we made, like, 5 rolls of that, and it was all consistent, and we were just like, "Oh, like, okay, so this can be manufactured." It can be scaled just with the right people, with the right, right infrastructure and stuff like that too. It's just a matter of, like, how to do it. There's always gonna be a how, like, you have to figure out how to do it first, and then you can go ahead and do it, so yeah.
Yeah. All right. Lumo.
Yeah,
All right, I want to talk about Lumo now. So
yeah,
we've covered the technology interest and some of the things that I think piqued your curiosity in
yeah.
Paris and how they were thinking about technology and fashion and so on. Tell me about Lumo. Where did that come from? What is Lumo?
Yeah, so Lumo is basically a mapping app. I call it just like a Google Maps for textile waste. It's
Okay.
like, imagine if, and it doesn't have to be, when I was talking to the interns, they was like, well, do you just map stuff that you see in the street? I was like, no, that's not necessarily that. It's more so it's since kind of changed since being in the SVS. I will say that. But
Okay.
when I first started Lumo, it was more so just for consumers to use if they have textile waste and they want to get rid of it themselves. So I just came in contact with a lot of designers, and they're like, I have a pile of clothes in my living room right now that I don't know who to give it to. And I'm like, oh, maybe you can just maybe what if you could just post it on an app and then someone can come pick it up from you, kind of thing. So that's was the idea of Lumo, was, like, helping other consumers with their waste as well so that they're not throwing it away as well. So it was more so like, okay, if I have trash in my corner right now, if I post it on the app, maybe, like, 2 hours later, someone can come pick it up from me, kind of thing. But I've since kinda changed that to be more of, like, a B2B kind of thing too, so yeah.
I've always said, so we share this space with
Yeah.
Goodwill, and I've always said, if they had like a reverse logistics, like Uber kind of pick it up,
Yeah.
versus me having to go find a donation drop
Yeah.
off, like that could be an interesting,
And
approach to,
basically
yeah, that's kind of what Lumo, like
yeah,
one of,
that's
yeah,
kinda what it is. It's more so for someone to come pick it up for you, and we don't have to, go and take it somewhere like Goodwill. And Goodwill, they don't really accept scraps, they
right.
accept, like, clothing, but not really scraps, so yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So you're trained in haute couture,
Yeah,
um, precision, control, the mastery of the materials, those types of things. And that's centuries old kind of
yeah,
focus on how they do that. We were talking about that earlier. But now you're working with materials that are alive and a little bit maybe more unpredictable,
yeah.
decompose. Like that's the whole point of that. So, how does the training that you went through prepare you for working with these types of materials?
Yeah, so, I've been sewing since I was 13, so But when I went to school, I kinda had to get, like, a reality check because it was like I thought I knew everything about sewing.
Yeah.
And, when I went to Paris, I was actually our teacher was like a 84-year-old, like, French woman, no English at all.
Wow.
She did refuse to learn English, actually, too. She did not wanna learn either. So, I feel like the whole time I was there, I was getting cussed out in French. She
Did
was
you
like
know French before you went?
no.
Okay.
I definitely learned afterward.
Yeah.
But, I swear I was getting cussed out, telling me to redo the whole thing. "Why would you do this? Like, take it apart and redo it right now. Like, we're just gonna cut this out. Now you ruined the" like, it's like, okay, now I have to, like, really evaluate, like, my whole sewing skill, like, to
Yeah,
see if I'm even
yeah.
a sewer. So when I finished that program, it really just made me like, oh, there's another like I'm rushing when it comes to sewing. I'm just kind of putting together sloppy stuff. Like, it looks good on the outside, but on the inside it's like unorganized, looks horrible. So I kind of wanted to replicate that in the biomaterials world where it's like a lot of upcycle things looks kind of sloppy. Like it looks kind of like, oh, just thrown together. You get a stitch there, and here you go, like $300. So, but it's like I want people to actually feel like they're getting something that's handmade, and that's why Biospoke came. That's what the name came from, bespoke.
Mhm.
Like I want people to feel like they're getting a bespoke, handcrafted, well made like item, than just like a upcycled um, garment bag that someone threw together. So yeah,
Um, you're a solo founder, at the very beginning, no co-founder. Your team is your family at this
yeah,
point in
yeah.
time, right? Relocating to a new city. What's the hardest part about kind of being an entrepreneur like this that nobody talks about, right?
I was just talking to my mom like 2 days ago. I was telling her like I'm just stressed out. I'm stressed. I have to get like. There's a lot when it comes to like business stuff. Like
Now, wait
even.
a minute. Is this you stressed out?
Yeah,
Because I don't know that I've ever seen you stressed
no.
out. I mean, I've seen you go through some things already since I've
Yeah.
known you, and I'm curious what the stressed out Nadia looks like,
It's just a
actually.
lot of like, 'cause I know I have a lot on my to-do list. It's like I want to make sure I have my financial sheets for you that you asked for, and then I also have to, if I present to a lot of these retail partners, I have to make sure I have like a tech pack, or like I have to make sure I have like the patterns ready for manufacturing, and it's like I have to do, like, the science, like, the production side, but I also have to do, like, the business side where I'm making the business model canvas. It's like I'm making this, and it's just like I was just telling her I'm kinda stressed out because it's like I feel like I'm doing so many parts, like, different parts. It's like with this business, and she was like, "Well, Nadia, this is what you signed up for," and she was like, "They're getting you prepared for this. That's why you're like,
Good mom, yeah.
But it's just like it's stressful. It's stressful, but it's rewarding too because it's like I feel like I did this in college, but it was more so I mean, you're struggling. I mean, not struggling. You're juggling like 8 classes. Kinda you're doing the same thing. Like,
Right.
I'm in econ class, I'm doing math and stuff, but I'm also in fashion design class where I'm sewing and stuff. So I'm like, I'm treating it like it's kinda like a project, but like school, okay, how did I balance 8 classes in like 1 semester? I can do the same thing and, eventually work my way up. So
Yeah, so, all right, last question.
yeah.
So, if Biospoke works, and I don't mean works,
Yeah.
because I mean, I think what you're doing works, like, really works. Like, it's a brand that
Yeah.
is now
No, you're
people are
right.
talking about what changes in 10 years, not just for you, the company, but for the industry, kind of for the world that we live in.
Yeah. Honestly, what changes in 10 years, it's just, I think, understanding. I'm not like, so a lot of people are telling me, like, oh, try to get people to to stop shopping like fast fashion. I'm like, no, that's not really my whole point of the brand. Like, people are gonna find, like, we're gonna find a way to shop fast fashion anyway. They're
Sure,
gonna do
sure.
that anyway. My
We've
whole,
known McDonald's is
yeah,
bad for you for a really long
but
time.
people are gonna
Yeah,
shop at McDonald's anyway.
yeah.
Let them have it. But the thing is, it's more so like to care about what they already have. Okay, like you have a shirt that you just bought, wear it a couple times before you throw it away. Or, actually just care about the stuff that you're buying. If I am buying something, maybe I shouldn't buy it from like make it cheap, like buy it somewhere cheaply made. where I can wear it for 10 years. So really it's just kind of changing the perspective. I don't really want to tell people to go shop and more like stop shopping fast fashion, like, cuz it's going to be a while for people to do that. It's like a hard adjustment, but I want people to just kind of understand where they're buying, like who's making your clothes, where are you buying it from? If I buy this today, how long can I wear it before I have to throw it away, kind of
Right.
thing. I just want them to think more consciously when it comes to their buying, and also just who they buy from as well. So,
And it sounds a little bit like not just like even in that decision to, I'm done with this,
yeah.
like maybe it's don't throw it
Yeah,
away.
maybe it's don't
Maybe
throw it
it's
away.
take it to a company that's doing
Yeah.
something like this.
Yeah.
So,
And it's around like if you have holes in your jacket, don't throw it away. Go mend it somewhere.
right.
Like go to a mending club. There's millions around the world that do mending. So just rethink how you would rethink waste. Rethink how you are throwing away waste.
The thing I love about this program, this is our fifth class, our
Yeah,
fifth
yeah.
cohort. The thing I love about this program is to meet people like you who you want to do a business, but at the same time, you want to change the way people think and you want to do something that's really good for the
Yeah.
world. So thank you for
Yeah.
that. Thank you for being a part of this
Yeah.
program and for what you're doing. And, I think there's a lot of people, if anybody's, listening to the podcast today, how do they find you? How do they, what kind of things do you need from the community and the kind of support that you're looking for?
Yeah, so we just relaunched like our first we just launched our like actually official website. Like the
Okay.
website that we had before was just like a fun little like Canva workshop, but we actually launched our website where you can go and like sign up for the wait list.
Okay.
So um
Where's that at?
it's at biospoke.co.
Okay.
Yeah.
Biospoke.co. All
So
right. Sign up on the wait
yeah,
list.
sign up on
Okay.
the wait list, pick a bag that you want to find and sign up. And we also do a lot of workshops too. So we're not trying to do that much this time around, but like if you find one that we're doing, sign up, just to
Yeah.
meet us. And also, if you want to collaborate, we always are looking to do a collaboration. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome. Well, thanks, Nadia.
no,
Thanks for
thank
sharing
you
your
guys.
story. Thanks for being here. Appreciate
No,
the
thank you
time.
so much.
Yeah, you bet. All right. Cool.